Okay, today I'm looking at my escalator of my slot machine and it's been jamming up on me, and I'm going to take a nickel here and drop it in, and that one seemed to work perfect. Notice it's went down into there where it's supposed to be. The coin detector's working, so that one worked perfect. I'm just going to cycle it through now. And this seems to be my issue right here. This bar right here, which this spring is attached to, is not coming all the way back. So when I drop another nickel in, we can see it go down, and then it gets caught right here and doesn't fall where it's supposed to, where the coin detector can detect whether it's there or not. So if I pull this back, force it, then it goes down. So it seems to be that I'm jamming right here, probably dirty. I'm going to hope that that's my problem. So I'm going to take it apart first. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the escalator itself. I've got 3 screws that I need to do that with. I'm going to get this one right up here, this one right here, and this one right here. So I'm going to take it out and return to the video. Alright, so I got the escalator out. One really great piece of advice that I've heard and really has saved my life a couple times when working on these is keeping all your screws together. Try to keep a box that is devoted or just to your screws with the parts that you're working on, so that you don't lose anything, because that can be a nightmare trying to piece it back together if you've lost some parts and you're searching and searching. So anyway, so I've got the escalator out. I can see it right here. I'm going to try it again, and if you notice I have a nickel in there that came down like it was a slug, and now I can see that it's falling in perfectly. So like I said earlier, I think my problem's right in here, so I'm going to take this apart and clean this up really well, and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so my first step is going to be removing these 2 arms. They seem to be bouncing back pretty good on their own, so I'm not too worried. This one seems to get stuck a little bit, so probably a good idea to clean it. So if you notice right here, I have a cotter pin and 2 springs. So I'm going to remove those and then take out those parts. So I've removed the cotter pin and the coin detector arms, and I've got them both right here. One thing I noticed though, seems kind of strange, is that I have 2 washers right on the top here, and I would think that one would go between the 2, but I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double check on my working machine and see how that one's set up, and let you know. But it looks pretty gummed up, pretty dirty. Probably a good idea to clean it. Another little trick I like to do to keep my parts in the order that I got them was, all I'm going to do here is get a paper clip, and I'm just going to run it through the bottom here, and just so that I know, let me turn this. I'm just going to run it through the bottom here and keep all the parts in the same order that I pulled them off. So I've done that with a paper clip just to keep them, so I have a good idea of the order that's supposed to go. I'm going to double check on those washers. But this is going into a bath, and it's time to get cleaned up. Okay, so there's my part. I've got some heavy-duty degreaser I got from Harbor Freight, and my little trusty bucket of water. And I'm going to, it says 20 parts water to 1 part degreaser. Oops, there's a little more than that, but what are you going to do? So now I'm just going to take it here, mix this up a little bit, and let it sit there and degrease, and then I'll clean it after. Okay, the next part I'm going to go for removing is this arm right here. I've got a screw right there and a spring right over here that I'm going to detach and throw that into my degreasing bucket. Okay, so I've got that arm detached. Another good trick, if you don't want to mix up your screws in the bucket, is to always take the screws that you remove and then put them back into the main unit so that they're there when you need them, and you don't have to play a guessing game. Okay, so the next piece I'm going to take off is this arm right here, and that's just held on by a cotter pin, and it's really here where I think my issue is. So I need to get down into there, and I can't take this piece off without removing this, so I'm going to do that now. That came right off with removing the cotter pin. So I'll put that in the grease bucket. I do want to get this piece off here, but since I'm so far in, I'm going to take this one off too, just to be able to clean that also. So I'm going to take that screw out and then put it back into the main unit, and then put this part into the degreaser. Okay, so I replaced that screw just to keep it there so I know where it belongs. So my next step is removing this unit that I think is giving me the problems. It looks like it's caught up these two cotter pins right here and right here, and then this spring. So I'm going to take that off and see if that's all I need to take off to get it off, and stick it in the bucket. So after removing the cotter pin, notice that I've got two washers and a spring. So once I get this unit off, I'll put those washers and a spring back on there with the cotter pin to keep it onto the main unit so I don't lose them, and keep them in the order that I took them off. So I got it off, and it actually doesn't look too gummed up or too bad, but I'm going to clean it anyways. I'm kind of inspecting it too, just to see if there's any damage to the metal that could be what's not causing it to retract properly. Another big thing is it could be the springs. You can buy a new set of springs if you need to. Good person to contact for that is Bernie Burton, and it's his email is mrslot1@aol.com. He can send you a catalog, and he actually sells all the springs pre-packaged. So if you just need an escalator unit spring set, you can get that. Okay, so I've replaced these springs so I don't lose them. So now my last challenge on this side, well, I guess not, because I need to take this one off too, but I want to remove this one. So I think it's just the cotter pins themselves too, and then this screw that was for the tying on the other unit. Okay, took that part off. I did have to remove this screw, and I've put the springs back so I know where they're at. Okay, and then the next part I'm going to tackle is this one right here. Okay, so I've got that everything off. It's all sitting in the degreaser. I want to get this unit in there too, but I've still got a little bit of work ahead of me on the front here. There's Michael. I'm going to take off these final parts so I can separate them, and you can see there's a lot of grooves in there, so that might be part of my problem. But I'm going to take them apart and degrease it. Okay, so the first thing I've done is I've removed this screw from right here, And I've got my little, I think this is the slug detector. I'm not 100% sure, but I've removed it. So what I'll do is I'll paper clip these together so that they can stay together when I throw them in the degreaser. And as I look in there, I can see there's a lot of gunk in there. Okay, so now I'm going to take off this cover right here. It looks like it's just 2 screws. I've already unhooked the spring, so I'm going to take those 2 screws off and get that cover. Okay, well I got that cover off, and one thing I'm noticing is I can't really put these screws back right away because they are attaching to the bottom unit. So what I want to do is I'm going to leave these off for now, and then I'm going to have to remove all these other screws so that I can get this top faceplate off. So I got all the screws out except for this one right here that's turning out to be a pain, and I don't want to strip it. If I take a look at some of these screws, they look kind of worn, so I think somebody who's been working on this before, that might not be a good sign that somebody has worked on it and hasn't been able to fix it. So possibility exists that I might need a new escalator. But anyways, another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to use the same screws in the same places they belong, just so I don't have any problems with it going in and out. So what I've done is I've arranged my screws that I've taken out in the order that they have come out from. And what I'll do is when I finally do get this screw off, I will put them back into the back unit and just leave them there in that correct order. And so right now I'm going to tack this screw and try to get it off. Well, I got it out. Yeah, that screw, I actually had to drill it out. It was so bad. If you take a look at the unit, yeah, there's grease all gunked up in there. I'm surprised the nickels even went through. So it wouldn't be surprising if this is my problem. So get a good cleaning. So like I said, I'm going to take these screws that I put out in the order I took them out and put them back in the order so that the screw is going in the original hole. So there we go, the whole escalator is soaked in. I'm going to let that soak for 24 hours and then wash it off and clean it off.